But that's
Right.
interesting. All right, yeah.
Once again, 432 hertz, binaural beats,
Hmm.
and John Coltrane. My son was
Indeed,
born in
indeed.
jazz. You know, that's another thing you could play at night too, is some jazz.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um, let's see. Let's get to another question. What does he think about digital music and synthesized sounds in comparison to natural music from real instruments and the effect it has on the spirit?
Well, I think when you look at the foundation of jazz music, you know, in my opinion, I think the universe operates on the frequency of jazz music, and it's also acclimated to your nervous system. So just in itself, like when you have like real instruments, real octave cymatic frequencies, it's able to uh, rejuvenate the body. You know what I'm saying? And it's able to put the brain and your neurological faculties in a balanced state. So that's why the great majority I listen to like music. I listen to a lot of jazz music most of the time when I'm chilling out. Just reading. I play it lightly in the background, but I don't really get into the whole digital musical instruments and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah,
Natural and real music will
because
put you in it. Mm-hmm.
like just like the organ, you know what I'm saying? Organs, you know what I'm saying, probably revitalize your organs when you play the organs, because it's not by accident that they sound the same. So
Right. Real instruments will put you in a trance, and synthesized sounds will put you in a spell. That's the difference.
mm,
You're not going to get put in a trance under digital music. Doesn't happen like that.
mm-hmm,
If you were to examine the music industry and how the killings of the rappers 10x and 100x, it actually happened at the time of the digital music taking over and the synthesized sounds. Once the real music and the real instruments was removed, then we begin to see the spell even take place at a higher level. Wasn't taken the same, it didn't have the same effect when they were using real instruments. When Jay-Z does a live show with real instrument, it neutralizes the shit that he was saying over the synthesized beats.
mm-hmm,
When any artist performs with a live band, the frequency that they're able to cast and the spell that they're able to cast and the trance that they're able to put on the listener or in the audience, right, is higher than if you get up there with those with that little Uzi synthesized sound. When you get up there with the digital music or what they call the electronic sound, the electronic music, that's not real. That doesn't have the same effect of a drum. Any of the producers and beat makers out there, they can also tell you. I would love for Rich to answer that question because, I've been in sessions and whatnot where real instruments were played versus what was coming off of the machine, and it sounds completely different. They have completely different frequencies and energies to them. And if you add live music to your song, you have a higher probability for making a hit or a classic. Forget about a hit. Make a classic. Because a classic is a classic and a hit. It can hit 100 years from now. Make a classic and put natural music in your music. And I promise you, you have more of an opportunity to do that than if you have it sounding like a video game.
mm-hmm. And plus the digital synthesized music, that's also acclimated to nanogenetic mind control. Alexa, stop.
Super facts.
Yeah, it's also connected to nanogenetic mind control. So it's
Yo,
it's
that was
infantry.
a bar right there. Yo, the great divine speaks a sign. He said that was genetic mind control. Some shit said doo, doo, doo. He said Alexa. Wow. You're telling me about me and my chat bot. You're telling me about Chat GP5. And he just told, yeah, let's go.
Now, let's get to the next question. What can be done to take back our music? Generational wealth is being ripped away from us.
all of the DJs that are out there, stop being lame. And I would say more, but this is a family show. You know, I got some of my hardest criticism for the DJ. They the ones that drop the ball, not the artists. The artists exist. The artists are thriving. The artists are creating. There's a whole ecosphere of artists out here with bars and classics. It's just the DJs chose the lower frequency, and they felt they basically, you know, they bent their knee and whatnot, and they failed at their job. It was the DJs, not the DJ like you on stage with the artist. We ain't talking about that DJ. That DJ don't exist no more. We talking about the mixtape DJ, the playlist DJ, and the club DJ. Y'all was supposed to have conscious music lit right now, because there's artists that got some lit ass music, but it's not going to grow legs, and it's not going to be a hit if your ass don't play it in the club.
Facts.
Or if you don't play it on the radio, or if you don't play it to college students. Y'all are the ones that became the D riders of the frequency that put you under control and whatnot. And you fell into the quote unquote, you were the first bottle girls and the first lap dancers.
Mm-hmm.
You hoard yourself out for a frequency of music and whatnot that you thought was going to get you lit and whatnot. But how, when none of you stand out, there's a million of the DJs playing the same music, and there's only like 4 or 5 of them that stand out, and all of the ones that's getting real money is melanated right now. But if you broke Cyrock, if you broke Cambada, if you broke the Pillars, if you broke AA, if you had that on your name and your title and whatnot, your value would have gone up, and you would have been a part of history. And you niggas dropped the ball. That's a fact. So when any DJ try to ride through and say something, I'm like, yo, you got to show me with your action. I was listening to you for 10 years, but nobody was listening to me with your goddamn tag on it, with you playing it though. So the DJs could start with that. We are already taking back our music. Stop signing to the labels and build your own. Tap into the AI tools that are available and turn your thing into something new and something exciting. The Apple glasses is coming. So get into VR, virtual reality, augmented reality. You have to take this music from a whole different stance right now. Be in a metaverse with bars. Be in a digital world with bars. I'm telling you that. Stop being so proud and whatnot. But it don't got to be you. It could be your children. And it don't matter what age you are. If you have talent, why would you not do something when everybody else is doing something? Do you know how much songs get uploaded a day? Why would you not? If everybody else is making, if they throwing their hat in the ring, because that's why I say I can't blame nobody for doing what they do. This is not the record industry of 20 years ago, right, Rich? Indeed. How easy was it to get a record out 20 years ago if you was nice and you was like, I want the world to hear me? You couldn't take that. You just couldn't be any independent route. No, you couldn't do it like that. Now you could do that. So we need more goddesses singing about them being goddesses. We need people to take these popular beats and these TikTok beats out here and remix them and put some new, but I'm not going to say positive, because that's not what I don't rap positive. I rap a frequency that's in alignment with my DNA and who I told the people I was. I give them a version of the Scorpion King. You know what I'm talking about? But they say that you have 1,000 parts of you. So I give them all parts of myself, because I will not box myself in. So there's a whole spectrum of what I represent. And I have multiple sounds, multiple styles and whatnot, multiple flows. You know, I'm just being, it's some of the most therapeutic it's some of the most therapeutic outlets that you could ever think of, where you could just put your creation out there into the world, with nobody telling you when you could do it, how you could do it. We need to own you. You need to sign your life away to us. Nah, bro. So people be complaining about some of the wrong things, but more artists need to get on the frequency, tap in, you know, and get to this bag because it's out here. It's out here. Don't limit yourself. Your face card is good everywhere, even in cyberspace. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, Bdell, did you want to touch on that question or you want to move on to the?
No, well, in my opinion, I think the best way to take back the music is have the resurgence of the underground music. I kind of see it being done with Griselda a little bit, and play many different branches of hip hop groups that's stemming out of that demographic right there. But that's the only way to do it, is to, you know, revitalize the infrastructure of the underground music industry, and then stop signing to these big corporations and these big record labels. That's the only way you can really do it.
We're saying the same thing. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask y'all, do y'all think quote unquote low frequency fans support the low frequency artists more than high frequency fans support high frequency artists?
Hell
and
yeah.
if so, why are low vibrational, so-called low vibrational people, why do they appear to be so supportive opposed to the music, to the Jay-Z's, or as they say, Beyonce's, or whoever they say is a part of the Illuminati? The low frequency fans seem to be way more supportive to these artists than the high frequency fans appear to be to these high frequency artists like a Cambada or Cyrock or whoever may be out there. Why does that appear to be?
Reason I think so is because there's a dichotomy between individuality and personality. So the great majority of people who are acclimated to that low vibrational energy, they dealing with the dynamics of a personality. A person who has individuality, they're more subjected to not to venerate anything outside of themselves to a certain standpoint. So a lot of people who dealing with the aspect of a personality, they worship the artist. They, you know, they venerate everything that the artist does. If the artist says do this and that, they're basically acclimate that energy, and they do the same thing that the artist was basically perpetuating in the music and things of that nature. So they have a more autonomous fan base because, like I said, they need a form of external stimulation.
Mm-hmm.
Low frequency music could also be called bass music.
Mm-hmm.
And bass music is, you know, has a bass foundation, and the bass foundation is always more populous than what you see at the top. So the higher that you get in frequency, the more thinner the air gets. You know, it's not the other way around. So there are more ignorance is bliss. So there's more people at that lower frequency, which would consider to be the bottom or the lower rungs. And we're in Mount Oof, or what you call the Kali Yuga and whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot of people in the pit. So there's large numbers of that. As you elevate in thought, the way that the frequency and the way that the lyrics and the way that the music is put together, you know, it will either magnify or repel when people are interfaced with it based on what their frequency is. So the measuring point of people's frequency should be the music. If you could stand in the club and listen to an hour of Cambada, you know what I mean, and feel it, you know what I'm saying, to whereas you're dancing like how they danced in house music, you just let the music and the lyrics go through you, and then it actually takes you into possession and into trance, and you're coming up with new dances and everything, and you find a self of freedom. You could break through, especially if you're on the shrooms, because his music not only is high frequency, but it's made with a certain type of frequency where it's infused with the psychedelics and the psilocybin and things of that nature. So it's almost like if you take that, it will unlock multiple worlds, because words are what? Worlds.
Yeah.
Words are worlds. So like I'm saying, we're going into a future that's coming up very soon where you'll be able to walk into a world that you created with your words, because Apple is coming with the glasses. And please believe, when an Apple product drops, the world stops.
Facts.
Everything is going to make sense that we've been telling you about since the beginning of this fiscal year with AI and we've been preparing you. But when them glasses drop, it's going to be an iPhone moment. So things like Cambada's music and Cyrock's catalog, you'll be able to see that in a virtual reality sense. You'll be able to see the words come to life. The genius that these artists possess are so ahead of their time that the reverberation of the impact that they have on the collective is not going to be felt immediately. You feel me? I was alive when Jay-Z came out. He wasn't felt immediately.
Facts.
His impact was it took time. You know what I'm saying? So the music is being created and it already has a reverberation. The numbers of the people who subscribe to the soundtrack, right? Once they fully are able to tap in and you see the full numbers of them, that's when you see the multi-million-dollar sales. The fact is the network is not put together properly and whatnot, and there's no cohesion and things of that nature to properly see a Cambada go 1 million out the gate, because that's highly possible because they're dropping videos and it's going 1 million out the gate. The numbers are there. And we're talking about a single for $1. So the numbers are definitely there. The numbers have not learned to coalesce as a collective so their names can be counted. Once that's established, then we'll begin to see what we need to see. I just think that there needs to be a little fixing taking place. But the DJs, once they step it forward and do their due diligence, then it will make the quote unquote train begin to move again and the plane begin to fly again. They're holding us back.
We're gonna get to one more question before we get out of here. Magnificent show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I mean, what a magnificent show. This last question here, they want to know, do the streets still determine what's hot? Great question.
Hell yeah. The hottest song in New York right now is Scarlet, Get the Fuck Out New York. And the street said it was a banger. And I was like, it's a banger because they said that. When I first heard it, it wasn't a banger. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I was like, Astaghfirullah, what am I listening to? But when the streets co-signed it, the angle changed. You look at it differently. So it's all about perception. Life is what? Perception. If this shit is lit, if they say it's lit, it's lit. If it's lit, it's lit. If they say that you lit, if the ladies say that you lit, you lit.
That's facts. If the suburbs say that you lit too. That's
right.
that's
right. If the ancestors say that you lit, it's the same way that a shorty could choose you. That's the same way that the angels can choose you. You could get chosen by 77 legions of angels. What are you talking about? Family? Y'all out here, you know what I'm saying? Settling for trying to get chosen by a Jezebel or a Dottie or somebody that might compromise your auric field and whatnot. It's real outside. And because of the dysfunction that the culture represents, you're going to see it play out the most between the genders. That's where it broke. That's the foundation, going back to primary source. Once we're able to fix that, or just approach it, you know what I mean? It's gonna fix itself. But like Bdell said, it's in the frequency, Rich. It's in the love. What we have to sample the quote. It was already done. You can't recreate what was already done. The way that our music is set up, the way that our culture is set up, we'll take a blast from the past. All of us got grandparents and we miss them. And all of the stuff that they listening to, we need that medicine in our music right now. And then we need some good lyrics on top of that with some fly visuals. And all of this shit will fall by the wayside. The reason why we keep having these conversations is shit is not being done at the pace that it's supposed to be done. If we was having things done at the pace that it was supposed to be done, we would be having a party and whatnot. You know, what's missing in a lot of things, and the brother talked about it on his tour, 19 Keys, is the aesthetics. Going back to what I was saying earlier, this is aesthetic nihilism. The face tats, the piercings, the fact that Vybz Kartel completely bleached itself out. And by doing that, he created a whole genre of people, a whole following and whatnot all over the Caribbean that was following that. And that's attached to a certain type of egregore and whatnot. Aesthetic nihilism. People adapting the fact that they want to look like they zombies. They want to look dead. They don't want to look alive. They're not embracing life. They're embracing death culture, and they're telling you that. And you trying to give me small talk. And I'm like, nah. These people are embracing nihilism. Do you understand what that means in Western concepts, bro? That's Nietzsche in them. That's everything that they teach you in America. This whole shit is a nihilistic civilization. So they've been able to reward the artists amongst us, and they've been able to reward them and push them to the front, and they've been able to make their messages amplified and whatnot, because they talk about the nihilism, and the nihilism is affecting our babies, where you hear Kodak say that he know the perk was fake, but he still ate it because he's a gremlin, a super gremlin, correct? So I'm not calling nobody out their name, nigga, he said it. But that's nihilism right there. I know this shit got a perk. I know this got the Fetty in it, and I might be foaming at the mouth in 1 minute, but just to get an erection, nigga, just to get that perk 30, I'm gonna pop this shit. And they dying right there, right after that.
Right.
And people want to play games with me and try to, no, these babies is dying, bro. Y'all don't want to talk about that. And these babies is embracing crash out culture is not a nice thing to sit back and watch. If you have any quote unquote admiration for this generation that's coming up, because in this generation that's coming up, I'm like, yo, they fly as hell, bro. They got, the younger generation, I admire them. They got a future ahead of them. I'm like, y'all throwing this shit away for what? To listen, just to turn up. I know the music turn you up and they bouncing and everything, but you throwing it all away for 1 second of that. So the OGs dropped the ball. You got the OGs coming home from doing 30 years. They help fuck the hood up. You know what I mean? They help destroy shit. You know what I'm saying? They help set us back. You know what I mean? They played a part in that shit, bro. And then they come back and they do podcasts, and they want to help the youth. And I'm like, this is what happened. If y'all didn't catch the children before they grew up, it's over, bro. There's nothing that you can do. The contagion is already, they've multiplied, nigga. It's done. There's nothing that you could come back and say on no podcast to change. You be better off coming home to spin. Like you was doing 30, you be better off picking up pace and just working for the cleanup crew. And clean up some of the things that needs to be cleaned up, because all that other shit is not hitting like that. It's not no, you didn't even apologize to their mothers yet. These are their children, bro. Because I see mad podcasts with old kingpins and whatnot, and they're not admitting that these are the Franklins in front of them. These are the children. This is the hate that you gave little infants, fam. Remember Gina? Yes, that's her son in them rapping right now. Talk to that. Talk to that right there. Yeah, you see the trend. Yeah, that her mom's is her, it's homegirl. Yeah, that's Judy and them daughter. Now he a boy. Talk to that part. So they like, yo, we feel bad about it. We want to do a summer league. I'm gonna write a book about it. I'm in talks with Hulu. And Tubi, that's what they be saying. I'm like, nah, bro, that shit don't work. Maybe one or two of y'all, but not all of y'all. Teach the children how to survive jail, because that's where they're going. That's what you should come home and teach them, how to really hold it down, because they're going to the yard, bro. Without you, they want to see what it's like. Are you serious? They want to crash out. They want to be seen by the big homies. Certain people need that right now. This whole culture, this whole generation is being indoctrinated into gang culture. And I'm like, yo, where's the gangs that clean up the neighborhood? Where's the gangs that are buying back the block? Where's the gangs that just want to dress nice? You know what I'm saying? And help people. Where's the gangs that saving up money and whatnot? And buying up LLCs and stuff like that? Where's the crews that are into stuff like that? Because you don't got to be a murderous gang. that game has been checkmated. If you don't see the 800 people that's snitching inside of this stupid, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
We need to stop giving these people our energy, because it's clear to see that they have chosen a path, and we are observing the downfall. We are observing the crash out. We are observing the quote unquote. We got love for our people, but they following they underneath a spell, and they following a Pied Piper that I'm not getting in that crowd.
And that's because, the great majority of my generation, since there's no OGs and father figures, they try to live vicariously
through the art.
Yeah,
of course.
So now instant gratification is the plague of this generation. So this is why, you got all these afflictions.
Let me share something with you, Bdell. Let's just think about how, listen, this is how real it is. You could be in a car driving, a song come on, that artist can walk into you. You could, you seen like the movie Everywhere, Everything, All at Once, with the spirit was jumping into them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they say you could live vicariously through an artist, I know people that could turn into artists with the minute the song comes on, they could turn into Vaughn. They could turn into Pop. They could turn into Jay. I know they could do it on Snap. So I'm like, they're invested. They're living vicariously. So when it's the drill rappers, when it's Dirk, when it's Vaughn, when it's NBA, and the other ones that got the real ops and whatnot, every kill, their followers they take that as a kill. That shit is a dopamine. That is a up that you don't. They are invested in the kill. It's Hunger Games. It's Squid Games. They showed it in the King Von documentary. These niggas had 30 million tweets on Twitter. We didn't do Twitter back in the days like that. The drillers and the killers, they was running Twitter. They were killing they were killing live on social media. They wasn't just having tweets. Every single body in Chicago, there's a video and a picture to it to accompany it. It's not accessible to the everyday person, but it's out there. So think about the fact that music dictates ideas, thoughts, and concepts. What do you mean, Red? What I mean is the music tells you how to act. The music tells you how to respond to things. The music tells you how to think. Like you said, they don't have the big homies. The music is the big homie. Whoever's hot at the moment is the big homie, right? So when people are joining gangs, you can't judge them because they don't have brothers and fathers and uncles. The gang is the brother and the father and the uncle. So they're gravitating towards something that they don't have. So you can't judge that. All you have to do is change their frequency. Yes, do gang, throw sets in, but now it's mudras and whatnot. Gang up and let's build this community and whatnot. Let's gang bang and bang on a community and clean that shit up. You feel me? Let's gentrify it. I know the 5 color palettes of gentrification. You know what I mean? It starts with a paint palette. And then you put the signs up and you will see how miraculously them things will change.
Hey, wow. I want to I want to wrap up the show. I got to get out of here, family, but I definitely appreciate everybody's support tuning in tonight for this magnificent show dealing with frequency possession, programming, vibrations, a little bit of the history of music. I mean, touched on so much in one show. I want everybody, Red Pill got his show coming up on his channel, Know the Ledge Media. It's Melanin Mondays. So y'all can head over. Yeah, he's going to do a slideshow. So if you're interested, we still got 2,300 people. If y'all interested, y'all can head over to Red Pill Show and show support.
Somebody dropped the link in the chat. If I have anybody from over there, drop the link in the chat so they could just click on, so they don't have to go. But it's Know the Ledge Media, Melanin Monday, and thank you, Brother Rich and Brother Bdell, for the show tonight.
Appreciate
it. Before you leave, gentlemen, could you leave your contact info for the people if they want to reach out to you?
Mine is Bdell1014, B as in dog. B as in boy, D as in
trying to informing people about information. They're raising the consciousness in their family members, their friends, their children's, their mates, the people on the job. They're sharing this channel. They're sharing other channels. They're sharing clips on Instagram in hopes to awaken the planet and change the frequency of the planet. So we're talking about light workers today, Bdell. And it could be confusing being a light worker down here in this realm. And we're gonna get to it, man. We're gonna have a great show. To start out with, what's your definition, Bdell? What's your definition of this term that we hear in the spiritual community called light workers, my brother?
Okay, one thing to understand that there's a diametrical difference between light workers and chosen ones and those who are subjected to the Metatronic overlay when you're talking about NPCs. Now, most light workers and chosen ones, they were incarnated to bring a certain edification to the planet. Now, while there's a study that's been done, they said that at least there's about 85% of people on the planet walking around with no consciousness. So that brings me to the concept of chosen ones and light workers are basically an accumulation of your 144,000 to come back to reverse the polarity of the dark energy that was implemented by this deep state shadow government.
Indeed. And when you say light, I'm glad you made the distinction between light workers and what's the word, the chosen ones. And what about star seeds? Where the star seeds fit in that? Is that
I really think that's like it's just really based on certain mythologies or certain constructs and teachings or whatever, but they're really basically one and the same. A star seed, a light worker, a chosen one. I pretty much put them as under the same umbrella.
Right. No, definitely. Indeed. Now you mentioned NPCs, Bdell. I was curious because I was going to ask a question about NPCs. You said about 85% of the planet of people may not have consciousness. 85% of people might be NPCs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there was a study that was made. They said that there's at least about 85% of the population walking around with no consciousness, and that's very important because due to the fact that when you have a consciousness, that creates the delineation to where you're able to decipher right from wrong. So when you're able to use critical thinking skills and decipher, those elements in itself, that puts you in alignment to where you galvanize morality. So that's why the great majority of people in this three-dimensional paradigm, they don't have any morals, they don't have any principles, they don't have any values. They just kind of like, just going along with the system instead of using their edification to reverse certain things that subjugated us on a political level, spiritual level, on a dietary level. It's an influx of things and in many different afflictions that down to fallen humanity.
So when you talk about these NPCs going along with the system, the dominant system of society is one that we see that is attempting to keep our vibration at a very low level. Now, if it was the other way around, if it was flipped and the dominant society was attempting to keep society on a high vibration like it was in a golden age, do you think these NPCs will follow the light workers? Like they just follow. So they follow these evil entities now, but at another time these NPCs follow the light workers because that's what they're here to do. They're here to follow whatever's dominating at the time. Is that how it works?
Pretty much, because when you look at the inception point of the hierarchy of control, everything is being facilitated by archons, or whether you want to call them draconian reptilians. But one thing you got to understand is that an NPC is basically a computer generated spirit that's connected to the gematria body that's connected to the Metatronic overlay. So this three-dimensional reality is being facilitated by artificial intelligence under a technocrat system. So that means that, the great majority of all these technological devices, they extract neurons from the body and upload it into neuromorphic clouds and things of that nature. So this is why the great majority of artificial intelligence is basically the foundation and basically the foundation of how NPCs is able to galvanize, their consciousness, because they're basically connected to the paradigm of artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is the third eye for the beast. So with that being said, if the polarity was reversed, you can, reap the benefits of a golden age to where you can have, NPCs following, chosen ones, because the great majority of people in our family, you know what I'm saying, like your family members, your neighbors, the people that you work with, a lot of those people are NPCs. Some of those people are really good people, but an NPC is one of those things where it's not, they were basically reincarnations. They was brought back to this planet, you know what I'm saying, because they're subjected to the emotional energy, because your emotions is connected to the physical world, which is the illusionary world, because your emotions are going to deceive you every time, right? Because all this is based on the illusionary aspect of the material world. So what, NPCs, their purpose is based on the concept of reincarnation. They reincarnation until they get out of the Metatronic overlay. Now, the difference between NPC and a chosen one, a light worker, they were incarnated to this planet to bring a certain polarity, to bring a certain edification. So that's why you see the great majority of, the great majority of chosen ones and light workers, they were incarnated in their family to basically break generational curses, right? So the generational curses that subjugated their bloodline. So this is why the great majority of chosen ones, they might be the black sheep of the family, but they end up being the goat eventually, right? So because, you might be the only one in your family that might be vegan. You might be the only one in your family that has this knowledge. You might be the only one in your family that's trying to clean up, the afflictions that subjugated your family. So that's the difference between the chosen one and the NPC. Now, NPCs within your family structure, a lot of them, they can hold you back on the emotional level. So that's why I tell people all the time, your emotions is not real because it's connected to material. So that's how, the same concept with reincarnation, like when you die, you see that white light or whatever, that is basically the moon trying to galvanize your energy to bring you right back to this realm. So you might see in a holographic projection, you might see the things that you used to love to pull you back into this energy again. So that's why you got to follow the path of La Lut, which is the path of the middle way, meaning that you have to go through a process of self-realization. And that self-realization is an initiation process to where it puts you in alignment to where you become a master. So when you become a master, that's when you use your emotions as a navigation system to infiltrate, to basically ascend up way beyond the three-dimensional reality. So that's the difference between chosen ones and NPCs and light workers.
Indeed. Do you think that sometimes when women have pregnancy complications, do you think it may be due to the fact that it's a light worker trying to have a child or bring a soul into this realm with an NPC, and it's just not going to work? Like, are light workers and NPCs, are they able to have children together? And if not, that's why we see so many pregnancy complications.
Yeah, in actuality, to bring it all the way back to certain demographics of people, you have some people. There's a certain demographic, they're able to have children a lot more easier when to where they don't need ROGAM shots and things of that nature on full moons. So that's how you know that the lunar cycle is connected to this, this three-dimensional paradigm that we're living in. But an NPC and a chosen one can have a child. But like I said, over the course of time, you have to clean up that genetical. It requires a certain genetic cleanup during the course of the time, because it's kind of like the same concept. Like, you might be in a relationship with somebody, you might be, on the path of enlightenment, and that person might just be subjected to going to church. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, it may not work out. You know what I'm saying? But that's just pretty much the illusionary aspect of this planet, because it's all based on distractions. But a chosen one and an NPC can have a child at the same time.
Indeed. What's this Metatronic overlay that you keep mentioning? Metatronic overlay. I hope I'm saying that
Metatron
right.
overlay is just basically just the material plane.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really the material plane that's connected to the gematria body. The gematria body is connected to the ley line grid system of this planet that keeps you entrapped to where you don't reap the benefits of reaching your higher self.
Mm-hmm. And who's Metatron for those who are curious?
Metatron is like you ever seen the hexahedron cube? It's basically the same mythology under the cube of Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
Cube of
Mm-hmm.
Saturn, and they call it the hexahedron or Metatron's cube. It's basically coming from that same dynamic.
For those, I noticed some of you in the chat are asking NPC. He keeps saying NPC. That's non-playable character, right?
But yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's not. It's like when you the background players when you're in a video game and they're really not there. They're just there to fill in the empty space so you can have a scene in the video game. They've termed that not NPCs. NPC is the music machine, but this is NPC. So yeah, aka Agent Smiths. Is that another way to put it, Bdell?
Yep. The
Yeah,
best way I can explain it is if when you playing Grand Theft Auto, this is just based on a simplistic level. When you playing Grand Theft Auto, there's the main character has a mission. Anytime you're a light worker, anytime you are chosen, when you have a mission to fulfill on this planet, your mission might be like Yaki, you know what I'm saying, to revitalize the dietary system of our people. Or you might be, subjected to giving people the edification of knowledge, just like Brother Panic, Dr. Phil Valentine, Rod Hayes, and things like that. You might be incarnated for that mission to uplift fallen humanity. So that's the difference between how that's basically my foundation and my perspective what an NPC and a person who's chosen on this planet, because most of the time, like I said, you chosen, you have a purpose, you have a mission. But the NPCs are the people that you see just walking around on Grand Theft Auto talking to themselves. They just wander around on autopilot with no conscience. Yeah.
Right.
Because they don't have nowhere to go. But you have a destination. You know what I'm saying? On a lower form, on the video game, they might just be, go steal a car or whatever. But in reality, when you came back to this planet, you came here to bring knowledge. You came here to clean up, the mess that was made by, the plutocracy.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So, light workers, they have a very important role in this realm, and they can be underappreciated by their family, by their friends, and they could be looked at and, just not valued. I look at, to make a comparison of that, Bdell, I look at teachers, and teachers are very undervalued. They're very underappreciated. They're underpaid, to the fact that a lot of people who wanted to be teachers, because the standard of living is so high, they don't want to be teachers no more, because they like, I could barely survive being a teacher. But deep down inside, they love being teachers. Do you think it's like that, Bdell, with light workers, where there's souls that want to come down here to help? They want to be light workers, but they see how light workers are unappreciated, and they see how light workers are criticized and all the negative things. So the souls don't even want to come down here to fulfill that mission. So we have less light workers than we normally would have, just like we have less good teachers that we normally have, because the good people are so unappreciated in this realm. Do you think it's like that?
I think so. But once you reach a certain stage of enlightenment, you study the Sufi order of the Sons of Green Light, that connects you to the Zohar body. The Zohar body is an etheric state to where you tapped into the spirit of Melchizedek, which is chosen one, a light worker energy. So some people, once they reap the benefits of everything, as far as, going through this human experience, to where they started going through an evolutionary process of ascension, some of don't even have to come back because they already done their work. So some of them, but I will say that some of the souls that died on this planet they basically they work through us through I forgot what they call them, sun granulations, solar flares, because those solar flares are basically is an influx of energy, chosen ones and souls that left this planet and was extracted into the sun and projected back down on the planet to raise up the vibrational frequency in consciousness. So, so even if they don't even want to come back, they basically working through us through our genetical bloodline.
That's deep. So a light worker doesn't have to necessarily take on a human avatar. They could come in the form of solar flares as well.
Yeah, so they don't have to take corporeal form, because at the end of the day, that's ether that's coming, that's penetrating the magnetosphere. That's energy that's coming from the fifth dimension. So that's why I think we just had a solar flare, X-class, M-class solar flare that just activated the Schumann resonance yesterday, I believe.
I just got my crown. You see my crown behind me? I just got my crown. Yeah, I got my crown last week, man. The universe gave me my solar crown. See, the earthly beings, they wear the gold crown. I got the solar crown. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Having a good time with it. Yeah, this is some interesting stuff, Bdell. So, because one of my questions was going to be, and I guess you already answered. I was going to ask you, is the only way to influence this reality is to be a part of this realm? And you kind of answered it by saying you don't necessarily have to take on a human avatar. So I'm glad you already answered that, my brother.
I do have a question for that though, but even if you don't have to take corporeal form, let's just say that you came back to this planet and in a form of an incarnation. Sometimes you got to use the matrix in order to get out. Sometimes you got to use the matrix in order to pull other people out. So it basically works in symbiotic connection with the same mythology of Jesus. You know, the reason I'm bringing biblical context into it, because I know the great majority of people are stuck in religion. So I got to meet them where they at. So that's what it's all about. You got to meet people where they at, whether it's from a religious perspective, whether it's from a negative aspect. So just like Clans 13X, he used to hang out with street dudes. The great majority of people in the nations of gods and earth, a lot of them dudes were street dudes. He used to roll dice with them. So he had to meet them at their level. He had to subjugate himself and sacrifice himself in order to for him to be relatable to him. So sometimes you got to use the afflictions of the matrix to pull people out. Just like, when it comes to materialism or whatever, sometimes you got to build your autonomous energy and your energetic space based on materialism to keep you outside of external extractions, basically. So where you can put yourself in alignment to where you can get this influx of knowledge, to where you can be like, man, I ain't got to go to the club. I ain't got to hang out with these NPCs. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, revitalize my spiritual state. So this is what I'm going to do. So I built up my energetic space, because your energetic space is an emulation of what's going on with you spiritually. So you got to use the matrix in order to get out.
Indeed. So when you think about light workers, some of the things, or chosen ones, or star seeds, one of the things they may express is that, I don't feel like I belong here. I just want to go home. I don't feel like I belong wherever, in this matrix. They don't feel like they feel like they fit in. So some of them may even resort, Bdell, to attempting suicide or killing themselves. Now, we all have soul contracts. My question to you, Bdell, is if they break their soul contract by committing suicide, in this realm, when we break a contract, breach a contract, there's penalties for breaching a contract. So if you commit suicide, is there penalties for breaching your soul contract, just like there is in this realm, Bdell?
I agree. Yes, you might be in a state of reincarnation, because like I said, you came here for a certain mission, but you basically deviated from the mission in itself.
So you just stuck here longer from that.
Pretty much. It's like a form of imprisonment, because we're actually light bodies trapped inside of a light prism, which is a prison. So you trapped in this prison, and you might be here for 100-year sentence. You might be in the incarnation cycle for for another sun cycle or another lunar cycle. You know what I'm saying? Another 6,000 years, because all the 24,000 year verification periods is all based on 6,000 year cycles. So you might have to come back for that.
Yikes. Wow. I wish a lot of people knew that. In order, do light workers necessarily have to be old souls? Like we think light workers are, sometimes we think spiritual people are old souls, or can a light worker be a soul that hasn't experienced this realm that often? Are all light workers, you think, old souls?
I think that the great majority of light workers are old souls. So it's kind of like one of those things where like it was a time I remember when I was a little kid, and it was like, you too young to be thinking like that. You shouldn't be thinking, at that level. You still a little kid. You should be worrying about little kid stuff. So this is why the great majority of chosen ones and light workers, we might be younger, but we're actually a parent to our parents because our mental faculties is in alignment with the universe. So that's what creates the God frequency glow that makes you different, to where you get this protectorate from the universe because you get the spotlight shined on you because of the way you think, because of the way how you carry yourself. So that's my perspective on that.
Years ago, I'm talking about years ago, a lady told me one time, in African culture, the reason why, this in African, I wish I had a kente cloth in front of me. There's so many colors on the kente cloth. It's like some people may consider it chaotic because there's just, we're taught green, we're taught to just do, but the Africans, they wear so many colors. And she said the Africans do that because when you have a bright light and you have all these colors on, it throws entities off from attacking you because they can't spot you how they can normally spot somebody with a bright light, because you got all these different colors on you, so it kind of throws it off. Have you ever heard of that? And if you did, what's your thoughts on that, my brother?
That's my first time hearing about it, but it makes a lot of sense though, because I know that certain colors in the color spectrum is where demons can attach themselves to your energetic morphic field and control your nervous system, and it puts you in a low vibrational state. Like, that's why, you got the red. A lot of people, in the hip hop community, they like to wear red and black a lot because, it's Jordan and stuff like that. But like, I get it. But when you have an influx of colors, you know what I'm saying, it kind of, confuses these entities that can't take corporeal form to where they can attach themselves to your frequency. Because, from my ideology, from what you just told me, it kind of puts the color spectrum in itself. When you have different colors, it puts you in alignment to where you can activate your 7 energy cortexes. So it can give off the illusionary aspect of this person's in alignment, even if they're not in alignment, because they got these color spectrums on. So I don't really deal with it.
Wow. Yeah, interesting stuff. So you talked about like demonic entities attaching themselves to your nervous system, and you talked earlier about light workers coming in the form of solar flares. Now we have 75 trillion cells. Do you think the light workers come in the form of the cells within our body, and so that's another way they can enter this realm? So they're like, inside as in us as part of our cells.
I agree. Yes. It's kind of like you have, because like I told somebody not too long ago, you have your chosen ones and your light workings is basically an accumulation of your 144,000, but it's not only subjected to a certain number of people. It's it's a consciousness, it's the vibration, and it's activated by the magnetites and the dendrites in the brain. So when these cymatic frequencies, these solar flares, when they copulate with the carbon body, it transmutes the carbon body to where it's in a crystalline state. So when you're in a crystalline state, that's when you're able to reap the benefits from the solar flare transmission hitting your body. You get these light co-activations, you know what I'm saying? You're getting all these headaches, you're getting body aches and things of that nature. Like I said, the body in itself is trying to put itself in alignment as the planet is going through a metamorphic shift, because we're going through a planetary shift. That's why everything is starting to reset. So your body's supposed to be resetting along with everything that's on the planet. So where you can get these activations from the ancestors to put everything right back into its original balance under a matriarchal energy.
Wow. No, indeed. I remember hearing brothers say that to understand how the matrix, like you was talking about the Metatronic overlay, I heard brothers say before, you should study computer programming. Might have been Seven Bowman, I'm not sure, to understand how this matrix worked. Now, if and that was some good advice. Do you think we should learn how to study? Do you think we should learn business management, Bdell, because we have 75 trillion sentient beings living within inside of us, and we should learn, and where they say the organs, and we're organization, like Jay-Z says, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. So do you think we should learn business management to learn how to manage the 75 trillion cells in our body to on a better level?
Yeah, because it teaches you discipline.
Okay.
Because when you have discipline, that basically embarks the same energy on how you carry yourself and how you carry your body.
Right.
Because you know, where I work at, I'm a thermal engineer. And best way I can explain it, everything is actually an emulation. Everything in the Metatronic overlay, everything in the third dimension is an emulation of who we are on a genetical level.
Right.
If you want to know who you are, just look at things around you. So there's a machine called an extruder. An extruder has 7 different chambers, and the chambers in itself has transducers. We have transducers within our biological vessel. We have the neuroendocrine transducer, and then you have the neuroendocrine transducer, to where you transduce that information in that influx of energy that's coming from the cosmos. So it's the same, it's actually the same thing when you're talking about business or you're talking about technology or computers and coding. It's basically an emulation of the Adamic man, which is the original man of the original makeup. So everything is basically a carbon copy of who we are.
Indeed. Wow. Now, this is something I've noticed. I've been in this community for a while as an interviewer, as a journalist, talked to many great minds. One thing that I've noticed, a trend that I've noticed a lot with these brothers and sisters who have such an amazing amount of information to share, I notice the trait of jealousy. When one person sees another person shining or elevating more, growing more, or getting more attention, what should a light worker do if they feel as though another light worker that they thought they was in this elite class of 10% and they didn't have to worry about the NPCs, but another light worker gets jealous of another light worker? How should that light worker respond if they notice another light worker is getting jealous of him or her?
Try to collaborate. I think that's the best thing to do, because everybody, what I'm saying, like, it's all about, like I said, you got to use your emotions as a navigation system. So you have to, everybody has a lane, everybody has a role on this planet. What I'm saying? It would be, rational and illogical for me to, be jealous of Yaki Awaken. I don't know, that's his lane. He does dietary stuff. Like, why would you try to combat that energy? And he's edifying people with it. Let him do what he do. Or, let certain people who are connected to metaphysics, let them do what they do. Now, if you want to get the edification to learn it and things of that nature, where you can raise up your consciousness, that's another thing. But you should never, set yourself back by, being jealous of somebody. If anything, collaborate to where, what I'm saying, you can create new ideas. So once you create new ideas, they might, bring a different doctrine. That might bring a new perspective. What I'm saying? There's many different things that can come from it. Everybody has a role on this planet. Everybody has a purpose. Not everybody, but the chosen ones and light workers, they all have a mandated purpose on this planet. So so it would be irrational and selfish for somebody, another chosen one, to be jealous of another person's purpose.
I see somebody in the chat, a very basic question. They're asking, I want to be a light worker. How do I start? Do you think the very fact that they're asking this question means that they're not a light worker? Or do you think they just don't know how to tap into their light?
Everything is operating on the cosmic pendulum or the cosmic clock. So it might not be your time. With you asking that question, that means that you're at the door, which is basically the path of Nasut, where you become a neophyte that puts you in alignment to where you become an adept. And when you become an adept, that puts you in alignment to where you become a master. So with you being at the door, that means that you have speculation to where you can tap into the energy of self-realization. So when you have self-realization, you do your shadow work, that puts you in alignment to where you can start to seek knowledge. So just because you don't, you don't feel like some people don't even think they're a light worker or a chosen one because they don't have a platform, they don't have a voice. You know what I'm saying? Your purpose might just be subjected to fixing your family, fixing your bloodline, or just edifying the people around you. You know what I'm saying? Because the concept of a chosen one, people just think like, I was chosen to play basketball, I was chosen to be a rapper, I was chosen to sing, and I was these are all man-made purposes. Because at the end of the day, if this world shuts down, the energy grid shuts down, the people who are the truth tellers, you know what I'm saying, the people who spread the information, the people who's trying to bring a dietary system, people teaching agriculture, those are your real chosen ones, because they're actually bringing a certain natural vibration to the planet. So for you to say that you want to start as a light worker, you are a light worker because you already at the path of Nasu. You're already at the door. So you looking at yourself from an internal level, what I'm saying, where you can tap into self-realization. So you don't have to, think that you're not, because you don't have a platform and not and stuff like that. That's all BS. That's all, humanoid concepts that's created by mankind.
No, indeed. What would be a metaphysical definition of passion? Because one thing I see a lot in the videos that talks about light workers, and the light workers have to figure out what their passion is, and they have to live or fulfill their passion. So what would you say is like a metaphysical way to describe a passion, your passion?
Your passion. Okay, that was a great question. I ain't gonna lie.
Thank you.
Your passion is one of those things where when you tap into a certain energy, and that energy in itself is a tachyon energy, meaning that it connects you to the universe. When you tapped into passion, that puts you in a